man who was recently bitten by a rattlesnake near his home in South Corona. NBC4's Tony Shin spoke to the victim and has this timely warning about the dangers of rattlesnakes.
Gone.
A local man says he stumbled into a wooded area full of rattlesnakes while out on a hike. He says he took a tumble trying to get away.
It's pretty scary. I mean, it was unexpected and it happened so fast.
Having forests turned into urban spots results in animal encounters that are completely unexpected. Tune in with us to witness some of the most unbelievable moments caught on camera that no one would have believed otherwise. Either this snake was feeling left out or just that it was starving for a treat. In Thailand, a group of friends enjoying a barbecue had a frightening encounter with a banded crate snake in September 2020. Caught on CCTV, the highly venomous snake approached the unaware group as they were feasting. As one of them was getting up, he almost immediately spotted the snake inches from his feet, prompting a panicked escape by all. Fortunately, the snake slithered away. Reflecting on the incident, the man expressed surprise, stating they never considered snakes while relaxing outside. Banded crate snakes, typically shy, are found in Southeast Asia and the Indian subcontinent, with bites carrying a mortality rate of 1 to 10%. Late night invader. Having something to wake you up in the middle of the night certainly revalidates the fear of a ghost under the bed. In March 2019, an elderly woman in Bangkok had her sleep interrupted by a python that kept on waking her up, almost as if it were giving her a reminder to be fed. Now, what was truly shocking about it is that this wasn't a pet, rather that this python made its way to her room after appearing from the toilet. Her son later called in emergency for help, whereas the rescue workers arrived, the python was found resting on top of a curled up on the toilet seat in the bathroom. Kissed by snake. While most would think otherwise, this snake probably was having its thanks in order for the hospitality. A resident from Orlando, Florida shared this Ring doorbell camera footage from August 2023, showing a rat snake hanging on top of a door where within minutes it kissed the man on the tip of his head, instantly causing him to react. With the snake later identified to be a non-venomous rat snake that poses no risk, it looks more like a kiss of reminder, judging by the gentle glance of the snake.
A man gets a very unexpected welcome home, and he did not see it coming.
Down in the pants.
There's another fine mess I got myself into. Untangle a bit of wire.
Having to face off a snake is nowhere close to crazy as having one getting into your pants knee deep.
There's another fine mess I got myself.
This video surfaced on Facebook, showing a decent-sized snake that somehow made its way into the recorder's pants from under.
There's another fine mess I got myself in.
The man, however, manages to pull the snake out moments later into the clip with a leap of faith. This, at the same time, raises $1 million question as to how could something like this even happen? Unless this guy was a bit too sleepy, while at the same time had a scent of something powerful enough to grab the attention of this snake.
Ooh. Jesus Christ!
Roof tile python.
Be
at the front door, the porch, or the roof. Sometimes there is no going around with the snake. In May 2019, a daring rescue unfolded in Sarabura, central Thailand, as locals discovered an unwelcome guest, a python that was stuck while trying to sneak into a house with no safety equipment. A rescue worker braved the challenge by climbing onto the roof to apprehend the 8-foot-long serpent that had cleverly nestled itself within the tiles. Gripping footage reveals a paramedic skillfully removing apex tiles and extracting the snake. After the successful capture, the python was carefully descended to the ground and subsequently relocated to its natural habitat. Jumped at police station. There is no such place that's safe if you happen to be in snake territory. In a bizarre incident on December 10th, 2018, CCTV footage captured the comical moment of a snake ruthlessly making its way, surprising a visitor in a police station in northern Thailand. As the dark black rat snake was only discovered to be at an arm's length away, it caused for the bystander, now recognized Apachat Chutong, and the serpent itself upon the reaction. Apachat bravely grappled with the 6-foot-long reptile until a startled policeman appeared. The snake was eventually released into the bushes outside the station, marking an unusual and amusing encounter in the realm of law enforcement. Snake on the shoes. It's not that this snake had a thing for shoes, rather it was in search of insects or lizards to feed on. In central Thailand's Sorobria, a daring rescue unfolded when a snake camouflaging amid a pile of shoes outside a motel room. A vigilant guest returning to the motel spotted the serpent's tail, prompting emergency services to intervene. The radiated rat snake, a non-venomous species, remained hidden among the shoes. Avoiding potential confrontations. The 6-foot-long snake was captured after lunging several times fiercely at the rescuer. After a brief struggle, the snake was safely contained in a fertilizer bag and released into the wild. Tram snake taken out. While most would naturally react by fleeing the scene, this man decided to stand his ground and deal with development himself. In November 2017, this Indonesian man became an internet star after he was filmed using his bare hands to remove a snake from a busy commuter train on the island of Java. As the crowd started to distance themselves from the proximity of the snake, this young man immediately put it down within a matter of seconds. With the snakes happening to pop out from almost every place unimaginable, this neat little trick should be helpful. Playdate interrupted.
Oh God, there's a snake in the house!
In Butler, Pennsylvania, a casual playdate took a surprising turn when a little girl spotted a snake in the kitchen.
The snake is outside, he's not in the house.
Adding unexpected panic to the gathering, the toddler's mother and her friend initially dismissed the claim, but immediately rushed out upon witnessing the serpent themselves. Fortunately, the snake, identified as an eastern rat snake, proved to be non-venomous and was successfully relocated. The incident turned an ordinary playdate into a memorable and slightly chaotic event. Perhaps the snake, too, was looking for a reliable spot to hang out with its hatchlings, but we can never know now. Staring contest in wild.
Is he gone?
Being in nature might seem like a great way to relax until a rattlesnake appears from nowhere, irrevocably challenging you into a staring contest.
Is he gone?
Being cornered by an eastern diamondback rattlesnake at a spitting distance, the man realized he was far from getting any anti-venom, practices extreme caution by remaining completely idle, while at the same time plotting to escape.
I am frozen in my tracks right now. Don't even want to move my arms.
As soon as he uses a twig to distract the attention of the slithering reptile, things get much worse. Finally, after making another attempt, the man diverts the snake's attention before quickly distancing himself. Had the man flinched, things certainly wouldn't have panned out in his favor. Reptile refugee. Not that this snake had anything personal against this mechanic, just that it was seeking the nearest shelter. In a Malaysian car workshop, a mischievous snake sought refuge from the rain. Surprisingly, a mechanic in Kuala Lumpur. Caught on CCTV, the reptile slithered across wet concrete, making its way from the other side of the road into the shop. The shop owner revealed that a worker, initially startled, quickly regained composure and sought assistance. Though it intimidated everyone at the workshop but showed no sinister intentions. With their help, the snake was safely evacuated from the workshop and released into the wild. Prey chase that escalated. A lot can happen in between breaks, especially if it is connected to the wild. In Madhya Pradesh, India, a shopkeeper narrowly avoided a snake chasing a rat for lunch. CCTV footage captures the oblivious shopkeeper entering, engrossed in his phone, unaware of the impending predator and prey chase until it caught his eye just in time for him to swiftly dodge and get out of the way. Inside, a terrified rat scurries, pursued by the hungry snake. The reptile searches shelves aggressively for its prey. Eventually, the snake exits the shop. On the bright side, it would at least keep the rodent problem in check. Heightened self-esteem. Most cobras might tend to be reactive only when confronted, but for this king cobra, it was also about its heightened self-esteem as well. A local from a remote village in Karnataka, India, found a 14-feet-long king cobra that was trapped inside the bathroom of a house. A local snake expert, Ashu, was called in to rescue it, where things suddenly took a very sharp turn. The king cobra immediately came out confronting the man that was pulling it out from its tail. Despite being an expert, Ashok never saw it coming and was left terrified. Being a king cobra, gotta show it some respect, as it definitely didn't like being pulled by the tail. Provoked fame. You know what celebrities and endangered venomous snakes have in common? Well, they both repel to the idea of provoked fame, especially when it's paparazzi. A wildlife explorer and scientist was in search of a rare snake. As soon as he found one, he started to document it to study the species along with the environment. With the camera constantly closing in, this very famed snake started to have enough of the man's shenanigans and started lunging into the lens of the camera. As annoying as a camera can be, no one appreciates having to come across it while being pissed off. Dinner-deer. With the food being rated to be extremely good at this restaurant, this deer couldn't help itself from attempting a dinner dash. Security camera footage from November 2023 at a restaurant in Martin, Tennessee caught the moment on camera, where a deer came crashing through a restaurant window. Apart from showering shards of glass all around, the deer ran through the restaurant as bystanders didn't interrupt it from running around until it was out through the back door. The owner believes the sizzling scent of food and sheer curiosity of deer likely made it motivated enough to make such an abrupt and aggressive dash. Angry eastern brown snake. Snakes are instinctively known to be aggressive, making it the last thing that you want to be clingy at. A footage from January 2015, released by a native and feral pest management in Newcastle, England, shows an eastern brown snake that is released in the wild with a GoPro camera on a 3-meter pole that closely moves alongside it. While these snake handlers were aware of its aggressive backlash, this extremely venomous snake resorted to a whole new level of intimidation. By almost completely standing up with its coiled, slim body and repeatedly resisting from having the camera get any closer. Its sheer ferocity, along with a dose of potent venom, is the last thing anyone would want. Russian roulette rescue. A mere fact that most Australian snakes are one of the most venomous on our planet is enough to say that this rescue was like a game of Russian roulette. In a gripping incident from December 2020 in Australia, a puppy found himself ensnared in a python's coil. The quick-thinking owners rushed to the rescue, with a courageous woman bravely using her bare hands to pull the snake away, ensuring the safety of the trapped pup in a dramatic display of human-animal intervention. Backyard snake scare. By now, you'd be convinced to mind your surroundings for a potential snake sighting to avoid another surprise such as this. An Australian man was relaxing on his deck and browsing in his backyard until he had an unexpected encounter with a very sneaky snake. In the footage, the snake suddenly appears and sneakily approaches the man, who only detects its presence as it passes close by. With the man's description matching quite as much to Santa, many started trolling that this may or may not have been one of Santa's leftover Christmas gifts. Just another roadside snake.
An Arizona woman, she decided to help a snake. She picks it up with her bare hands.
Seeing how this woman casually picked up and relocated the snake despite being occupied shows how knowledge in handling snakes goes a long way. This clip was captured in May 2020, Arizona, showing a pregnant woman displaying incredible multitasking skills as she used her bare hands to gently move a wild snake, all while holding a phone to her ear, as if it was just another snake on the road.
So I was kind of really excited.
Pulling over to address the traffic halting serpent, the expecting mother skillfully sandwiched the phone between her shoulder and ear. The woman fearlessly grasped the non-venomous gopher snake, ensuring its safety amid oncoming traffic. Thug Life Gator. With gators found quite often on the streets of Florida, they certainly are learning a thing or two about being a gangster. An expert gator trapper was called in on the residential street of Oakey to remove an 8-foot gator that was concerning the residents. Once its jaws, legs were bound and eyes covered, the trapper double-checked by tapping on its jaws to see if they could still open up.
And there's gators everywhere, and they'll be on the road, and
As soon as the gator was placed in the back of a pickup truck, it immediately reacted by snapping the expert's sunglasses out of existence, using only the tip of its snout.
Ooh, he's coming back.
Its sudden resistance helped it temporarily escape from the clutches of other captors as well. Bear jacking. Unlike most bears, this one rather seems to be more interested in this biker's ride along with the gear.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
A group of enduro riders that were driving on a trail through a forest in the Bulgarian forest until a brown bear attempted to jack up one of them after blocking the path. Despite having control of the bike, its appetite for more almost started to trigger a chase until one of the other riders used the rising noise of the revving engine to counter, intimidate, and scare it away, which actually worked as the bear turned out and started fleeing. Seems like you can expect all sorts of things from happening in the wild. Sneezing surprise. Despite being in the vicinity of a seemingly domesticated adult lion, you can never really be not afraid of the idea of it instinctively turning against you. A tourist that was eager in petting this aging male lion until this happened. The sudden sneeze of the lion got the already terrified tourist to have a jolt of shock, reacting in the fear of the sudden move. Seeing the smirk on this lion's face, we can know that it knew what it did and was looking forward to it. Sneaking up on Monk. This snake was either too shy to approach the monk directly, or just that it didn't want to scare him away. In Yasathon, northeastern Thailand, a surprising encounter unfolded as a green tree snake interrupted a Buddhist monk's tranquil moment on a hut. Captured on video, the reptile gracefully crawled along a pole and onto the bed, where the monk, draped in an orange robe, was peacefully seated. Onlooker Tom Juku witnessed the event, mentioning a prior entanglement of snakes in the temple's trees. Astonishingly, the snake, displaying a calm demeanor, caused no harm to the startled monk. Probably as it wanted to have a lesson or two about meditation. Eventually, the snake was captured and released into the nearby forest. Gutter snake. Seeing this raises the thought that a snake could appear from anywhere, and at any time is actually quite terrifying. In northern Thailand's Nakhon Sawan province, a woman, Whereupon Kalrisi, experienced a terrifying moment as a snake approached her while she was sitting outside a grocery store scrolling on her phone. CCTV footage captured the intense scene at Whereupon. Unaware of the reptile, leapt in fright when the snake suddenly appeared between her legs. The shop's staff, responding to her reaction, stepped in to help. The snake was later identified as the Indo-Chinese rat snake that actually poses no risk to humans. A cold welcome.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Just as no one appreciates being bothered while dining at the wedding table, this elephant couldn't agree more. A group of tourists that were on a safari boat trip through the Kobe River in Botswana, where the tour guide decided to close in on a huge elephant. As its peace was disturbed, the heavy herbivore resorted to a cold, scary welcome until the boat was far out of its personal space. Aside from all the carnivore wild animals, elephants too are known to be not so much fun and loving when it comes to their territory and the little ones.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Unruly grouper. To make an easy catch, spearfishing might sound like a great idea, until something like this happens. A diver that was spearfishing in an unknown location not too deep from the surface until he finally made a catch, only to lose it to a grouper seconds later. Talk about unruly groupers. This one just stepped in and snatched away the prize, almost as if the diver wasn't there. With the grouper being too large and almost instantly eating the catch, having to retrieve it was a pointless effort even though the line of the spear was still accessible. Critical-sized croc. For a crocodile this huge, its size is sometimes more than enough to speak for itself. In May 2017, two fishermen in Conura, Western Australia, filmed a wild giant crocodile encounter. The massive 4.5 to 5 meter long saltwater croc, sporting only 3 legs, was spotted on the riverbank. Curiously, the fishermen approached in their boat to get a closer look. However, the colossal reptile wasn't pleased with the intrusion. Suddenly, it lunged menacingly toward their boat. Prompting a hasty retreat from the startled men. The incident captured on camera showcased the unpredictable nature of the massive crocodile that shouldn't ever be underestimated under any circumstance. Bump in the ocean.
A day of deep-sea fishing on a charter vessel turned into terror on the high seas.
As deep as the oceans can be, there aren't many bumps that you can expect to come across, unless it's an iceberg or a gigantic prehistoric predator. During a charter fishing trip off the coast of South Africa in April 2013, this small group of people that were fishing for hours until something extraordinarily huge pounded the boat from underneath. The hit was so powerful that it almost flipped the boat. Although they were all safe and sound in the end, what actually terrified them was the realization of not knowing what they came across in the middle of the ocean and in the dark. Feel free to share with us your opinion down in the comments. Berserk alpha gorilla. Gorillas are one of a kind of wild beings that can turn from calm to berserk, and back to being calm in a fraction of a second. Not to mention having more than enough strength to do damage. A footage taken in October 2007 showing the moment where one of the guides during gorilla trekking in Rwanda decided to hold one of the juveniles in his arm.
Right close. And Adrian stood there with the baby gorilla on his arm,
while immediately triggering the alpha gorilla, who reacted calmly, being careful not to get carried away onto its caregivers. As soon as the juvenile was released, the alpha gorilla again made another intimidation charge, only this time it was getting much more aggressive. Amazingly, this ranger stood his ground without pissing in his pants or even flinching. The same pissed off gorilla, being caught up in its emotions, almost took an African ranger in, thinking him to be one of its young ones. Backyard bear run.
Teenager fights off a bear to save the family's dogs, and it was all caught on camera.
Being in a residential area not too far from wilderness, encounters such as these may seem to be not so unusual. CCTV camera footage dating to June 2021 showing a teenager, Haley Maronico, from Bradbury, California, was checking up on her dogs that suddenly started barking, only to find a mama bear that was attempting to make a burrito out of one of her little dogs for the cubs.
The dog that the bear grabbed, she's the baby. I have to protect the baby. I spring, you can see it.
Haley, in love with her little service dog, Valentina, decided to push the unsuspecting mama bear on the other side of the wall long enough till she was able to rescue and flee with the little dog. Passed out camper awakened. Even though a tent such as this is structurally nowhere close to protecting its inhabitants from most wild animals, the idea of it being another object for animals does. A camper in Alberta, Canada was in for a rude awakening surprise after having to fall asleep without zipping up his tent. As a result, a curious bear that was probably looking for lunch stumbled onto him and was inspecting his shoed foot until the camper suddenly woke in panic. Catching the bear in surprise and spooking it away in fear. The man would most certainly not forget zipping up the tent next time. Constriction attempt revoked. Although a slithering reptile as big as can be overwhelmingly terrifying just by its presence, when it is equally as vulnerable during and after its feeds. A footage that made its way to Twitter in December 2023 showing a huge python that was trying to make a meal out of a helpless dog. As soon as 3 of these young boys got the wind of it, they all sprung into action, overpowering the python and undoing its coiling to constrict. Seeing the size and the strength of the python, it could easily have overpowered one of the rescuers if it had the chance. Fishing a leopard. Using a fishing-like net to capture a leopard may sound like a potentially good idea with the element of surprise. Upon noticing a leopard having made its way in the urban areas, a tiny band of brave construction workers in Indonesia decided to scare it away, as things didn't pan out as planned and the leopard started chasing them. They grabbed a construction safety net and tried entrapping the big cat that was on the loose. Since the leopard was already aware of their presence, having it cornered into the net took several failed attempts, until they finally managed to capture it in. Baited at wrong end. When fishing might seem to have gotten too easy, it is actually just a calm before a storm. A group of boaters that were out for a recreational fishing adventure when they experienced a moment where they almost were going to get a huge catch. Within moments, a massive whale appeared right under a huge school of fish, only inches away from the boaters. Scooping up the huge pod of fishes before dropping back into the water. Many would comment that this was very close, but the whale was using the boaters as bait to gather the fishes, only to take it all away. Black bear shenanigans. I don't know what's more impressive here, the fence holding up on the weight, or this huge black bear obediently complying with a gentle request to leave. This clip made its way onto Twitter on October 2nd, 2023, showing a black bear that curiously enters a fenced residential backyard. The house dog attempts at confrontation until the bear reacts towards the dog. The man of the house who stepped in to confront the bear only had to politely ask the bear to leave. And interestingly, the bear quickly implied and left the same way it came from. Came in the way. In the defense of Bison, it was actually the vehicle to blame that was in their way. A couple decided to take a trip to the Yellowstone National Park and were documenting a huge herd of bison that were moving at a fast pace, until a huge one of them happened to bump hard onto the front of their vehicle. If you're going out on a supposed wildlife safari trip, you ought to stay out of the way of the wild animals, especially if they are all hyped up.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And there's more.
Boxed in. If there is anything more terrifying than being pursued by a hungry lion, it's being surrounded by the entire pride. An unknown source shared this footage showing the recorder cornered on top of a tree, with an entire pride of lions just below it. Now, a simple fact that none of the lions or lionesses were showing much interest in the man itself shows that luck balanced in his favor, especially since the lions are very much capable of climbing trees. This picture and video was taken on June 15, 2018, showing a social media celebrity couple who were out on the Saline River to fish for smallmouth bass until their paths crossed with a massive diamondback water snake that managed to sneak up on them.
He's a giant! Oh my gosh!
As the woman named Jay went over to investigate and ended up spotting it hanging out underwater beneath a rock, and she reached in and pulled the giant snake out for everyone to see.
Jay, what have you got?
I don't know if you're ready for this.
That is a giant.
While these snakes are non-venomous, but have pretty bad attitude when disturbed, making Jay experience a strong resistance to non-cooperation.
He is mad. He wants to get me.
Thank you very much for watching the video. Have you ever had such an experience with an animal? Share in the comments and do like the video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.